He's freaking Light Yagami with a Death Note and going into jail, and then coming out of jail and getting the Death Note again because he knows he's gonna get it. That's literally what Vegapunk does. Vegapunk figured out who the traitor was, then said, I got you. I'm gonna make a plan now, and then I'm gonna get rid of my memories. And then he was like, who's the traitor? And then he figured out who the traitor was again, and then they took down the traitor. That is Omega Brain. One Piece, chapter 1123. The Void... No shot. The Void Fortnite? Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Okay, let's get into it. Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage Volume 11, sentenced to eat Odin with the person they hate. Am I a bad person for whenever I now see, like, Odin? The only thing I think of is that meme of being boiled like Odin. It's the only thing that pops into my brain. It's like one of the most tragic things in One Piece that has become a massive meme. And it's a very, very funny meme too. It's a good little meme. I like it. I still think the end of Yamato's story might have a big reveal. This is not the return to Wano I envision, but it's definitely a return to Wano. I have to wait and see. Okay. What the hell? Okay, let's see what's going on. Come in, Egghead. What's happening? Well, everyone is either dead or knocked out. I think it's a pretty bad situation. The Straw Hats are escaping. By the way, another thing, I got completely wrong. I thought the Seraphims being in the bubbles is a Chekhov's gun, and I thought Blackbeard would yoink them. That never happened. Blackbeard is seemingly... Well, I say Blackbeard, but it's Devon. They just left, seemingly. So, I suppose that's the end of that. The Great Blackbeard Uno reverse card never worked. Which, in a weird way, means that now it's even easier to predict what he's going to do because he can become Saturn, which probably means they're going to try and infiltrate Marie Joie. I think that's a given at this point. It's true they're all knocked out, Captains. No kidding. Was that even stronger than Red Hair's? There was no hostility to it. Thank you, Giant Robo. The GOAT. The GOAT. I wonder why he has the cross on his hand. That's the thing that still gets me. I don't think he's an Alabasta enjoyer, but I also don't think there's a... It's a weird coincidence that Chopper has the same design. Very odd. Very odd. You're not seeing long form. He gets control of Seraphim when they go to Hachinoshu for Garp. That could also work. Yes, if they're using whatchamacallit, Saturn's form to take control of the Seraphims, and then basically still using them as an army. That could also be a good reverse Uno. I like that. Then let's take advantage of their slumber and get the heck out of here. I like the sound of that. Let's get going, boys. So, it's actually GG's. Set sail to Elbaf. I wish I had the foresight. I wish I had the foresight to like prepare the clip of Luffy singing the Elbaf song, because there's the clip of Luffy and Usopp singing the song. I wish I could just put it up here real quick, but no. We are actually going to Elbaf. We are actually going to Elbaf. Oh my god. Okay. What you said back there just doesn't sit right with me. Was this what you wanted, Vegapunk? Was it? I couldn't hear everything, but you said some pretty outrageous stuff. More lore? Oh my god. 2 weeks ago. Oh my... Okay. 2 weeks ago, Egghead. There's an abnormality in the numbers from the power plant. Yes, I'm certain of it. Look at the change in the particle number density and neutron flux. Yes. The amount of energy expenditure on the Seraphim has been inching upward. If that's a mistake in our calculations, it is a grave one. Huh? Wait, those aren't the numbers we confirmed, are they? The response rate is rising, but the power plant remains stable. Yes, which means that this data represents... evidence that someone has stolen some of the Mother Flame. I am sorry for all the times I have said Vegapunk is too dumb for being so smart. This was all according to plan. They were indeed playing 5D chess. I am once again sorry. So they knew. Okay. All the numbers regarding the power plant have been carefully manipulated to look normal, and the only one who could pull off such a feat is a Vegapunk! Or was it Lilith? She's evil! I'm sorry to say that we're the only 3 with airtight alibis. So I was... Why does this always happen? Why did I make a 100% correct prediction in saying that there is no way that Vegapunk could be duped in his own laboratory by his own, like, counterpart? Right? And then I say, okay, At the same time, it is like his own counterpart, and maybe they can like perfectly manipulate information. I was right all along. Vegapunk is too smart to get duped. They knew! The amount of energy that was siphoned off was vast. So it was one of the remaining 4 then, right? Like Lilith? And that's why you want to put her brain on stealth mode. Yes, if this experience is shared with Vegapunk Records, then then the culprit... I like how he just keeps assuming it's Lilith. Then the culprit will know we're onto them. 1 week ago. Oh dear, I've identified the culprit! It's York! The information synced with Punk Records was all dummy memories. Even the video footage was faked from the camp snails along the infiltration route. So they actually knew everything. They knew all along. For what purpose? Also forgive me, Lilith. I found evidence that the Sea Beast weapons were controlled as well. Traces of wiretapping, white transponder snail usage detected. What is white transponder snails? Am I supposed to know what exactly a white transponder snail is? The gag assuming it was Lilith is great. It is. It is just like, I like Vegapunk's, I like Vegapunk's, but why? For what purpose? Also, forgive me, Lilith. It's a good little running gag. It could also be like a wink at readers, because obviously when the chapters were coming out, everyone assumed that it was Lilith. Most people assumed immediately that it was Lilith because Lilith is evil. It just made sense. I've successfully recovered the data of this long-distance snail call. Dr. Vegapunk is studying the Void Century. Okay, we got another meme panel. The Vegapunk face. Oh my god, that's good. A transmission to Marie Joie. No wonder Cypher was coming to investigate this often. That's good. Oh my god, that's very good meme material. 6 days ago, they say the kingdom of Lucy is gone. The details are unclear as of yet, but it can only be an omen. Pythagoras, keep a close eye on wireless transmissions and underground reservoir levels. Do you think it's related to the stolen Mother Flame? I do. She must have used the Sea Beast weapons to transport it to the government. If I may speak without evidence to back it up, I'm certain the world government is in possession of an ancient weapon. They've used the Mother Flame York gave them to activate it. We will see the grisly results soon enough. I know in my heart it is true, but I cannot go public with it. This is all my fault. I should have never tried to isolate greed from humankind. This is a extremely roundabout way. They knew, and everything, the whole live streaming plan, this is how that happened. Do you think that we could apprehend York? Which, by the way, also the line of, I should have never tried to isolate greed from humankind. That is such a hard line, by the way. I am very much a, nihilism enjoyer, and I think, scarcity is the root of all evil. I do. And I think greed, scarcity, those two things go hand in hand, and it almost works better than to basically say that Lilith is evil because she is evil, because there is never any true evil. I think evil arises from scarcity, and the way Oda has done that here, I think makes perfect sense. Because like York's whole I want to become a celestial dragon, that is like, it is an appeal to status, right? She wants to get higher. Can we get so high? That kind of vibe. Only a fool lets their greed run amok, and I went and personified mine. Same meaning. But generally speaking, I like this. I like this much better than if evil Lilith was just evil. Because this makes much more sense also in the universe that is the One Piece setting. Right? Because with a lot of the characters in the One Piece universe that are evil, they are evil because they want something. Be it Doflamingo who wants control and like wealth and power, or every other baddie, all of them are not intrinsically evil. They're pursuing some like means of something through extreme measures. And that's greed, you know? Whereas Luffy, he doesn't really care. Do you think that we could apprehend York to keep her from causing more harm? No, it's already too late. Whatever York is doing, it doesn't matter. Anyone who learns of the Void Century will be eliminated. By recklessly handing over the Mother Flame to them, York has demonstrated her potential value. We should have never done such a thing without thoroughly determining the purpose and safety of it first. There is still time for us to flee, Stella. Then I re-quasar an escape ship! One that will evacuate all the residents of Egghead. It is too late for us, however. Secret orders have already gone out to various naval branches. They will hound us to the very ends of the earth, and to die anywhere else would be in vain. More importantly, Egghead has the facilities and tools that Ohura did not 22 years ago. I have the means to maximize the reach of my voice. Hence, I will hold a live stream announcing a giveaway. The closer I get, the darker it looms. Just what is the world government? If I must die, it won't be for nothing. I'm so sorry this had to happen to you. That's silly. We're both Vegapunk too, you know? We were thinking the same thing. That's another very interesting question. We were talking about like the different Vegapunks and how that actually translates and what that means exactly. Where like, you know, they're all sharing information and theoretically they should all basically be the same. But this is good because like the natural question that arises to me is when they say this, is this just a cool line of we were thinking the same thing? Like, you know how you would say to your friend, I was thinking the same thing. You know, no, it's not crazy. I was gonna do the same thing. Or were they actually thinking the same thing? Because my personal read is that they weren't thinking the same thing. I don't think they were. I don't think this is like they are copies and they were genuinely thinking of the same plan. I don't. In my brain, they weren't. I think this is them being like, yes, this is the right thing to do, and we're just going to tell you that we're both Vegapunk and we were thinking of the same thing. The thing is, this part implies that York is as greedy as Vegapunk is capable of, meaning Lilith being as evil as he's capable of. You could argue with Vegapunk simply not being capable of extremely evil, neither will Lilith. I guess, but I think more so the message that it's trying to get across is any person's greed, when you like let it run free, will be much more destructive than like the evil most people are capable of doing. Because I do think the average person, like the damage that can be caused by greed is, I think, much more than the average person can just do malice, right? I think most people don't have malicious intent, whereas most people do have greedy intents, if that makes sense. I don't think for most people being greedy is necessarily evil, you know, if that makes sense. If Luffy wasn't there, we could have gotten the whole message. Lucci would have iced Vegapunk and that whole broadcast would go uninterrupted. Why did he make his poop machine greedy anyways? I mean, he didn't make it greedy, he just separated his own personalities, right? So that greed was also in him, which makes sense, right? The whole I am just a humble scientist thing, while, you know, he needs all these resources to conduct his research. I mean, he can say that he's a humble scientist, but he needed money to do all this research, right? To some degree, it is like a means to an end, but it is also greed, you know? Because I would never say greed is intrinsically malicious or bad or evil, but it can be extremely destructive. Like I said, I think scarcity is the root of all evil, basically. Even if they think the same thing, they have different personalities, so conclusions, course of action they take could be different. That's my interpretation, yeah. I think they think different things, but they say the same thing as basically we're bros. Okay, let's keep going. The only question, Stella, is what death will accomplish. Indeed. There is one other thing we cannot afford to lose. The cloud plant that produces island clouds. Those clouds might be the foundation of humanity's survival after all. Can we get much higher? Oh, ha. That freaking meme lives rent-free in my head. I'm just on the side. If they ever created an evil satellite of Luffy, would never be capable of being as evil as the satellite of Doffy? Yes. Yes. I think so. Because we have never seen Luffy be genuinely evil. That I agree with. I think, like, if you created an evil version of Luffy, it would basically be a blank slate. I'm gonna be honest with you. Because, I say that, but hold on. What if because of how pure Luffy is, if you extracted his evilness, you would have, like, the most evil pirate that has ever existed in the history of mankind? Because what if that kernel of evilness is his drive to be the king of the pirates? And what if you took that out of Luffy and plopped it into, like, an empty vessel? What if that was, like, the most evil being just wanting to be king of the pirates at any cost? I don't think that's what would happen, but it brings up a funny conundrum. Because, like, how do you extract... What makes Luffy want to be the king of the pirates? Like, what part of Luffy is that? You know? Like, what part of his personality is that? It's an interesting conversation to think about, but I think it's kind of... I don't think it's entirely relevant here. He refused the Revolutionary Army and chose to work with the world government because of greed. I don't think it's, like, intrinsically greed, but I do think you have a very good point, yeah. The fact that he stayed with the world government is definitely big true. I'm talking about personifying the evil part of Luffy. The satellite won't be very evil. And that's what I mean, right? Like, we have never seen Luffy's villainous side, right? So if you extracted that and personified that part of, like, that small part of Luffy's evilness, I don't even know what that would look like. And that's why I sort of joke that maybe because there is, like, so little of it, if that makes sense, it would kind of be like his only... I don't know where I'm going with this. This is irrelevant. This is completely irrelevant. Let's move on. Let's move on. So Vegapunk is doing clowns to get so high. Huh? What's the Stella doing here? Ah, York. Just doing what I always do. Giving the Mother Flame a little test run. If we can move this thing with it, it just might be the ideal energy source. That's true. I hope you finish your experiment soon. I do too. But that stays incomplete is my only hope. 2 days ago. Go ahead. We're recording. Check. Is this on? Hello, out there? Come in, world. I am Dr. Vegapunk, a humble genius scientist. They're going to be shocked by this. But it is the truth. And everyone has the right to know it. No one will expect that the transponder snail is hidden within here. I did. You say that, but we did see what his shadow is capable of. Big true. Big true. I think, yeah, the shadow Luffy is probably like the closest example of like a personified, but even that was kind of like a, like Luffy turned up to 11, I guess. I don't know, because like the whole idea of taking one trait out of a person and making a person around that singular trait, that just like messes with my brain. Because it's not something you can really comprehend, right? Like, a person is a greater whole. But when you have just, like, one of those traits, I don't know. Because, like, Lilith is evil. But she is also a person who's not actually evil. So, like, I don't know. Whatever the case, let's move on. And now, it's set up to transmit upon my death. And to prevent anyone else from learning that we have arranged this little trick, I will be erasing this event from our minds. However, this will come at a cost of many other memories. Such as York's betrayal and the theft of the... Okay. And the theft of the Mother Flame and the imminent threat to our lives. So... I like this. I like this. Because this is doing exactly what I wanted it to be. Vegapunk is so intelligent that he figured out who the traitor was, came up with a 5D chess move to basically do like, he's freaking like YAGAMI with the Death Note and going into jail, and then coming out of jail and getting the Death Note again because he knows he's gonna get it. That's literally what Vegapunk does. Vegapunk figured out who the traitor was, then said, I got you. I'm gonna make a plan now. And then I'm gonna get rid of my memories. And then he was like, who's the traitor? And then he figured out who the traitor was again. And then they took down the traitor. That is Omega Brain. I like this. This is great. We will be startled anew by these beings. By these things, rather. We'll be frightened all over again. However, our plans already have already been laid. And the utter disaster that awaits just around the corner. He is none other than our ultimate triumph. Bro is actually like YAGAMI. This is what I wanted. I'm satisfied. There are no more complaints to be made around how Vegapunk does things, because he did exactly what he wanted down to the most, like, the smallest of details. Genius. Oh, why am I here? This is the memory mass testing lab. Wait. This is my handwriting. Good morning, gentlemen. You will find that within your memory, there is now a void fortnight, but it was down to your own devotion. Or volition, rather. There are many other surprises in store for you. LOL! What is this in the scans? What is this in the scans? Is it just LOL? Is it just LOL? No shot, the scans actually also just say LOL. There are many other surprises in store for you. LOL. But I will leave you with one piece of information. It does not. There was no LOL. This is definitive proof that the officials are better. The LOL made me laugh a lot more than I ever thought it would be. The fact that it's just like a Vegapunk. There are many other surprises in store for you. LOL. Okay. The world government knows about your research into the Void Century. What? They do? But rest assured that you've already put together the perfect counter measure before you hurtle toward your glorious death. Why is Vegapunk suddenly speaking like me? You've put together the perfect countermeasure before you hurtle toward your glorious death. Death? Whose? Mine? And one more thing. Stella, Straw Hat, the Emperor of the Sea, just landed here with Bonnie. What? CP6 has landed. What? We're surrounded by the Navy battleships. What? It's Admiral Giza with St. Saturn. What? Oda was having a lot of fun with this chapter. Scanlation, you will just have to put your faith in me and die. That sounds a lot more ominous. That sounds like Levi and Erwin. Whereas this sounds like a, we've put together the best counter. So now, embrace your glorious death, my good sir. This is like banter. That sounds way too ominous. I prefer the officials 1,000,000% here. Because the scans definitely sound like Levi and Erwin. It's like literally give up on your dreams and die type of vibe, you know? I want you to know though, we're going down to save Bonnie. I intend to remain down here. Huh? But you'll die. I don't want you to save me. Just leave me down there to perish. Huh? You got a death wish or something? Certainly not. But I feel like my death might cause something to happen. It sure will. A bunch of people will be upset. I just can't let you die. Pretty please? And one more thing. When it comes to the One Piece, I want your crew to be the ones who get it. A toast to reuniting with old friends. Onward to Elbaf! Onward to my dream! Okay, this is peak. Also, I just noticed that I didn't notice Luffy. I was just looking at Usopp, and then I noticed Luffy right beside him. No, later. And that's it. Okay. This is a chapter that basically... This is the flashback of Death Note. Literally what it is. And I loved it. This is like so like speech heavy too. We are actually onto Elbaf. And I got my prediction right. We didn't get... I thought we would get like the typical toast of like all the crew hitting their little casks together. But this is close enough. Man, I enjoyed this. This was just a fun chapter. The scans were terrifying. Maybe afterwards you can read the TCB version and compare. Let me open that up. Because personally, I really love like the sort of constant whiplashy in Vegapunk's tone. I think it perfectly embodies his character. TCB scans. All right, let me look at this. After the rescue of Bonnie, you don't need to help me escape anymore. I've thought about it. Just let me die here. Do you have a death wish? Far from it, but I've come to believe that my death will set something important into motion. This is gonna be a big mess. We can't just let you, we can't just sit there and let you watch you die. We've got to do something. One more thing. It's about the One Piece. I want you guys to be the ones who find... Okay, so that's the same thing. Let me go back. The fear we feel for our lives will be brand new to us, but we have put countermeasures into place, even if things go sideways. It'll still be our victory. The death will send out that. Yeah, like, it feels a lot more ominous. It feels a lot more ominous in the scans, whereas in the official, it feels like a lot more whimsical, and I like that. It feels like a lot more, and I think like thematically, it also makes sense, right? Because when Whitebeard died, there wasn't any kind of we're toasting, we're all sailing off into the sunset and screaming about Elbaf. So I think in terms of Oda's vision, I think he was definitely trying to go for a Vegapunk goes out with ha ha ha. I've done it. I want you guys to go and find the One Piece. I've played my part. It's over, right? Sail into your glorious death, my king. You know, that kind of vibe. Because the immediate panels are us all celebrating and going to Elbaf. So I think from Oda's perspective, he was also trying to go for like a much lighter tone. Whereas the scans seem very dark. They do. I've already taken the best precautions possible. You just have to put your faith in me and die. Yeah, that sounds very blunt and very rough. Egghead's now done. Oh, onward to my dream. What a line. Bro, we have been talking about like Wano is gonna be Zoro's arc, and then Egghead will be Frankie's arc. All of these different things. I swear to God, if Elbaf is not Usopp's arc, favorite arc now? I don't know. I will have to sleep on it. I want to go through it again, and I really have to sleep on it. Because I think Egghead had incredible highs. And when I say incredible highs, it was insane. But at the same time, I feel like in terms of vibe, there are definitely arcs that I can immediately say that I preferred in terms of vibe. You know? It's gonna be a tough one. It's gonna be a toss-up. Bounty predictions? Oh, I have got no idea. I think our bounties might, like, eventually be just switched out to just, like, wanted dead or something. I think there's a chance we see something like that, because I've got no clue, like, what the hell is Luffy's gonna bounty even look like? The numbers now are ludicrous. I've got no idea. And I've said it before, I don't really, I'm not, like, a huge bounty guy, probably because I haven't followed the series for, like, for a very, very long time. I've only seen, like, 2 bounty upgrades, you know? Or 1, rather. Not even 2. I'm sure Usopp arc, not only him, others, Robin, Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, not sure others. I think Robin, 1,000,000%. If we don't see Robin reunite with Saul D. Goodman, we're gonna see them reunite, but what I mean by reunite is, like, a full-blown reunion. I need to make, like, a scene for the stream where I have Conqueror's Hockey going off. When I look into the camera, I just have, like, a thing going on in my eye. I'm gonna figure that out. One more chapter before next break. Do you think Elbaf starts next week or after the break? I think after the break. I think next chapter might be like a what's going on in the world type of vibe. Because I think Oda... Let me put it this way. And this is... I don't mean to worry anyone. I don't. But I think Oda right now has... I think Oda has a George R.R. Martin problem. If you don't know... A large part of why Winds of Winter, the next book in the Game of Thrones series or the Song of Ice and Fire series, isn't written, is because the further it went on, because I believe Oda and George R.R. Martin are both very similar authors in that they're gardeners, right? I don't think they have, like, everything set in stone. I think they write the story based on vibes and based on where they want to go. This has been proven true already numerous times with the fact that he wanted to, like, only have the emperors. The warlords didn't exist. And then Sabaody, which cascaded into a whole nother story, right? Oda changes a lot of things on the fly, which is very good. But the reason why I say that is, throughout Egghead, you might have noticed that we had a record number of different perspective characters. That is the same reason why the next book in the A Song of Ice and Fire series probably hasn't come out. Because there are too many perspective characters that are interacting through very complex means, and the story is becoming extremely complicated. Because early days One Piece was Luffy, and like occasionally small bits of the world governments, and occasionally the big bad. That's about it. Now, there are so many things. There's so many different things. And Oda just introduced even more with, like, the Cross Guild and stuff. So instead of consolidating forces, he's spreading them out even more. It is insane. So I believe next chapter, just like most of Egghead, will be a what's going on in the world type of vibe. A catch-up chapter? I don't think it's going to be a catch-up chapter. Chapter is just going to be, like, progressing the plot in the rest of the world. So what's going on with Garp, what's going on with the Cross Guild, all of those kinds of stuff. Not a catch-up chapter per se, but just like moving the plot along. Because keep in mind, we don't know what's going on with Weevil. We have no idea what's going on with Blackbeard. We have no idea what's going on with Law. We have no idea what's going on with Kid. There are so many characters that Oda has moved. Like, he has made a move with them, but they disappeared again. And we are in the final saga. There is no way Oda can start doing things like 300 chapters down the line. He needs to start, like, consolidating things together. Since it's the final arc, I don't mind having an extra 100 to 200 chapters from other perspectives sprinkled in. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see. I think Oda needs to, like, very quickly, and I think he knows this as well. That's why we saw Egghead the way it was. Because Egghead, we were talking about this a lot. when you started Egghead, it was like a wacky, goofy killer, like a murder mystery type of vibe, right? And then we suddenly got like Kuma stuff. And then we suddenly got all the well, actually, the Law stuff was like before Egghead. That was technically like post Wano. But post Wano is another example of this. We have so many branching stories that now need to like, they can't be branching anymore. They can't. We've done all the world building. Now we need to like get all that together, you know? So I do think this final war will be like a lot less of Luffy than we might expect, if that makes sense. I think there are going to be a lot of different characters, a lot of different forces in the universe that Oda has now spent years setting up, and I think Law is a very good example of that. We've spent years with these characters now. Oda has invested a lot of time into making them feel like living, breathing people, right? I think now is when he takes advantage of them and moves them from a supporting character to their own perspective in like a much bigger world that has many intricacies, many complexities going on in tandem. After the giant, which is next? Hold your horses! We haven't even gotten to Elbaf! Hold your horses, my friend! Who knows what's gonna be after Elbaf? Hold your horses! Relax! Relax, we still need to get to Elbaf first. We might get sucked into a whirlpool and have another underwater arc for all we know. I need a dragon chapter ASAP. How much did he know? Shaka was on the phone with him at the start of Egghead. Oh yeah, there was also something like that. Yeah, Dragon is like an enigma. Dragon is an absolute enigma, and I've got no clue what's going on with him. It's like Rick and Morty, we go out 20-minute adventure. I mean, it would be funny if this wasn't what happened to Game of Thrones, you know? It would be funny, but I'm just kind of like, Oda wants to have this like final chapter, not final chapter, but like final war arc, right? And I'm just afraid of it ballooning into oblivion, and then Oda like having a hard time actually writing an end to it, and it just keeps ballooning and ballooning and ballooning, and then Oda is like, well, I want to have another perspective character in this location, which means I need to add another arc to explore this like local culture, and then suddenly we're in like chapter 3500. That's what I'm worried about. Do you think Loki will be the main villain in Elbaf? It's hard to say. Loki is definitely someone that I think like you need to start thinking about and how he will play into the narrative. I don't think he might be like a villain, but I do think he might be an antagonist, if that makes sense. I think from Loki, we might see more trickery and more shenanigans, less so just trying to kill us. I think like something that we talked about a few weeks ago with Loki could be that we're going to do like the Mjolnir story, right? Where Loki has stolen Mjolnir, and the whole arc is based around finding Mjolnir, and then Usopp gets Mjolnir. Because there's a story in Norse about Loki stealing Thor's hammer, and then Thor has to like, there's basically like a whole circus around him pretending to be, I think it was Freya, and then they like hold a mock marriage, and then like during that marriage they retrieve the hammer, and it's a complete mess, right? But Loki there isn't really a villain. He's just like he's like a trickster. Do you think all the ... was because Shaka told him to let him die and not being the revolutionaries? Could be. Because we've had chapters where Vegapunk talks to him about like let me cook, basically, right? About like we are planning for the long term. And it's the same thing we saw with Lily. No, not Lily. What was her name? Bonnie's mom. What was her name? I forgot Bonnie's mom's name. But with her, right? The fact that Dragon didn't do anything. Because it was like they were fighting for something much bigger. Forgot her name. Also, I didn't even notice that Bonnie is back to being a kid and she's just hugging to what I presume is Kuma. Very, very cute. Yeah, this one was a ton of fun. I think this was about as good of a send-off as I could have imagined. To be fair though, you know what might be next chapter? I think I'm wrong. I don't think next chapter is going to be what's going on in the world. I think next chapter is going to be something much simpler. I think it's going to be the robot versus Saturn. I think we're going to see the end of that. Yeah, I think it's basically going to be that. It might not be the full chapter, but I think that's like the last hanging on thread that we need to look at. Love One Piece, but I don't want it to have more than 1,500 chapters. I would like after One Piece to end to have 1530 volumes chapters. It would be cool to like have like One Piece extended, you know, where you talk about all the lore and other side stories. It could be cool, but I don't know. Like if Oda wants to keep expanding this conflict and then like have a big payoff, I'm cool. I'm cool. But it really depends on the way it is told, you know? Because if you make it overly bloated, it will feel bloated. So it's a tough situation. Yeah, so highlights here is definitely the Death Note thing. I think exploring greed as being the ultimate form of evil is also really, really good. Pretty sure Oda was doing that intentionally. The fact that, like, greed is ultimately the most evil one out of any of them. Or it could be like the whole interpretation we had before, where it's like Vegapunk is not evil, therefore his personification of evil is not evil. Personally, I like just like the more thematic interpretation of greed is evil, not evil, you know? The Death Note thing, and yeah, the way he just, like, hurtle towards your glorious death, that's gonna be a meme I use all the time. Rest assured, you've already put together the perfect countermeasure before you hurtle toward your glorious death. But yes, on Tuesday, we have Gamescom. So I'll be streaming on Tuesday, the whole thing. I think it starts a bit later than I started streaming today, but we'll watch the whole thing whenever that is. We might stream also tomorrow, but we'll see what happens, because I might have a meeting or two. We'll see. We'll see. No more yapping. Have a good one. Have a good start of your week, and I'll see you back whenever I see you back. Bye-bye.